Hi folks, okay, we're back for another video. I mentioned on the one that we made last that I wanted to do a video that was just exclusively on problems that you might have with your ink. So this is going to be broken into three areas. First of all, the ink that we use is Marsh Ink, is about purchasing the ink. Second is how to spray the ink so that you don't have your letters flying around when you're spraying. And then third is how you spray your carving. To make sure you don't get bleeding and that kind of thing. So, first things first. You guys may remember a few months back, and it was actually last year in 2013, I think was maybe the last few months of 2013, we got a message from someone that said ZoroTools.com, which is where we've been referring everybody to buy the black ink. All of a sudden they doubled the price on this. It went from like $5 a can or a little less than $5 a can to over $10 a can. And we got all kinds of feedback on that. So I called them, and I know many of you did, called them saying, hey, what's going on? Why did you double the price overnight? And literally it was overnight. So they had no answers other than the fact that we change our prices from time to time. And I told them at the time, and I know many of you did too, you're going to lose business of it because I'm going to buy it somewhere else. So found out about a month ago, because I had been referring people to a different source. I found out about a month ago, it's back down to about $5 a can. So congratulations to you guys, because somebody made a difference. Somebody got through to somebody, and now it's down to right around $5 a can. So we are, again, if you want to buy cases of the black ink, we're recommending ZoroTools.com. That's ZoroTools.com. And I've mentioned it on many of the other videos too. So that's only if you're going to buy cases of black. Now, if you're going to buy individual cans or colors, then we recommend Carlson Systems, and I think they have places all over the country, but Carlson Systems out of Phoenix, and their phone number is, let me read it here, 602-257-0980. And you can also probably, we've mentioned both of these companies before on prior videos. And just to answer your question, why don't we sell it? Is because we can't ship aerosol cans. You got to go through all kinds of hazmat stuff, and it's crazy. So in case you're wondering why we don't buy it and sell it, that's the reason why, because we literally can't ship aerosol cans. If you want to come by the house and pick it up, no problem, we'll have it. But that's probably not the case. So also on other issues that we've had, that you might have had with ink, refer back to videos number 46, number 57, and number 63. We did a lot of ink issues there, but I want to cover some stuff that may or may not have been covered on those before, because I've got some questions and stuff on it. So that's basically, did I cover that, Dad? Did I cover that right? That's basically having to do with purchasing the ink. Next, I want to go over how to keep your letters from flying away when you're doing layout. So I've just taken a scrap piece of the Select Pine here. I'm going to stand up so I can kind of get over the top of it and see what I'm doing. Can you get that, Dad? You pan down on that?
Yeah, I'm zooming in on it now.
Okay, so now, the thing that you might want to think about is these two cans of ink, they're the same, but they probably sound a little bit different. I'm going to, cling the bell, this one's almost empty. Now, when it's empty, there's very little air pressure coming out of that can. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attempt to spray these letters and get those things to fly away, which I know we've had many issues with our students before, asking how do you keep that from happening. So if I get too close with a can, these are 1-inch letters, if I get too close with a can and I spray, see what happened there? Did you get that, Dad?
Yeah, I do now.
You didn't see it?
Well, I think it showed, but I'm not sure, son. I can't back the film up.
Okay, so anyway, so if I'm spraying directly, are you on these eyes here? If I spray directly on those, you'll see how they fly away. So now, if I want to keep that from happening, if you can come over to this section, Dad.
I'm there.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back my can away from this. And this seems really simple, guys. And, you know, I apologize if I'm seeming really simple here. So rather than holding the can here, I'm going to back it off. And I'm going to spray in just kind of little short bursts. So that leaves, and you'll notice that it's not near as dark as this over here, but it still gives plenty of line to carve by. So that's what you need to do, is you back it off and then you just spray in little tiny short bursts, especially when you've got a brand new can of ink. Now if you've got a can that just barely has any in it, you might not have that issues. Another thing that will cause the ink to come out a lot faster, again, you know, refer to those other videos too, is the temperature of the can. Now out here in the Arizona desert, it'll get 120 on a regular basis in the summertime. It's what, the middle of March right now, and it's about 80 degrees outside. So, and I've talked about this before, in the summertime especially, I keep this stuff in the refrigerator. So it keeps the temperature way down. What happens is when the heat comes and this can gets warm, because it's outside or whatever, the pressure in the can becomes much, much higher because of expansion, and then it comes out like a blowtorch. It comes out really fast. So even then, you might have some issues with the fact that it'll come out much faster than you want it to. So you'll need to even have a lighter touch. So temperature control this stuff, guys, especially in the summertime if you're in an area where it's warm. Okay, so that's that. Now, the other issue with an empty can as compared to a full can is that when I'm using a full can, let me move that. When I'm using a full can, these cans will have a black mark on them, and I'm pointing the nozzle toward that black mark. But that doesn't always do exactly what you want it to do. So when you've got that and you're spraying, and I can just spray on this paper now, or I can turn over and spray on this board, but when you're spraying these letters, you may be in an instance where you're spraying like this and all of a sudden it stops spraying. So one way, there's a couple ways to counteract that. You can try and turn this nozzle and try it again, or you simply can get the ink flowing to that tube inside by holding it up and spraying it, getting it flowing again, and then you can spray again down like this. So you may have to play around with that, but just understand that when you've got that and you're spraying horizontally like this and you have a problem with it not wanting to come out, you need to get that ink flowing back to that tube. Just hold it upright and spray like that, and that will get the ink flowing, and then you can go. Another way is you may be able to just turn that nozzle so that it it will spray correctly. Okay, so that's another issue. That will become more of an issue when you're using an empty can than when you're using a full can. But it really becomes an issue. It may never get to where it will spray horizontally indefinitely if it's an empty can, because there's not enough fluid in the bottom. So you need to get that fluid going again and suck it back up into that tube. So that's that part. So that, I hope that kind of solve some issues with the layout and keeping those letters from flying. Now the third part is how you spray your carving. So I just took a scrap board and I cut these real quick. This is an outset "the" that we do. This is an inset "the." Now what I'm using here for material is that select pine that we use, and I'm using that on purpose because it becomes more of an issue with that than with my cedar. With my cedar, I really have no bleeding issues at all. But it could become an issue if you're spraying the ink too heavy. So let me show you, Dad. I'm hoping that you can get this. I'm going to just, does that look all right?
Yeah, I'm going to zoom in.
Okay, so I'm gonna spray this, and you can see how I'm just, again, kind of spraying it really light. And this is really important on this pine, guys, because this pine tends to want to bleed anyway. So I've sprayed it kind of from a top version. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to cut it, just touch it just barely again. And that's it. I'm done spraying that. Now, if I was to hold this on there, and I won't do it, but if I was to hold this on there and spray it and not keep it moving and puddle up, I don't care how much sanding sealer you've got on there, it's probably going to bleed. So you need to be aware that you don't, and this is something that I was very, very guilty of for a long time, and it was always Dad that said, son, you're spraying that way too heavy. You just don't need absolute 100% pitch black coverage on there. Now, if you look at that, you can see a little blonde in there. That's a little more than I like, but to be very honest with you, it doesn't really matter. Can you see that, Dad? I don't know if I'm holding it in the right spot.
It shows it perfect, son.
So now, if you want to, you could touch that just a little bit. But again, it doesn't need to be coal black, pitch black, you know, everything covered back in there. If you do that, especially on this pine, that's where you're going to have issues with some bleeding, even if you are using the sanding sealer that I've talked about before. So, I think I've covered pretty much, you know, again, if you guys have questions, you know, don't hesitate to call us or leave us a comment. Oh, by the way, on the YouTube channel, I just realized this is something I just want to touch real quick. On the YouTube channel, the way you guys comment on there, we love getting comments and stuff. But if we don't get back to you and respond to your comments right away, chances are, because YouTube was bought by Google and they changed all of the different things, we're trying to relearn how we actually reply to comments. But always understand, you can email us directly or give us a call or whatever. If we don't answer your comments on YouTube, somehow we've missed them or whatever, or you have questions, just contact us directly. But comments on the YouTube channel are great too. We love that. But sometimes we don't find it right away. So I think we answered a couple comments this morning like we're for a couple months old. So I apologize for that. But we're technically dysfunctional, I guess. So, what am I forgetting, Dad? Is that it?
That's about covers it, son.
Okay, so we're gonna make another video real quick here, but I want to get this one up and posted to make sure that we've answered all your questions. So, any comments, any feedback, be sure and let us know. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.